What is up, everybody? It's time for me to talk, unfortunately for you. Really not going to be much to say today because there's just one thing. Les made a video about how Jimmy Butler is the most disrespected NBA superstar, to which I say, no. We all know who the real most disrespected NBA superstar is. We all know who it is, Les. Quit kidding yourself. It's Herb Jones. Alright, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. I hope you all have a fantastic day. I'll see you next time. I thought I had everyone there for a second. That was a real bad attempt at humor. But I actually do, to start off my little segment here, want to talk about something that I've been noticing through the NBA playoffs, particularly in the Western Conference. And I think it's a good thing, which is, where are all these teams that were in the lottery like 2 years ago come from? It's fantastic. I've heard forever, ever since the first LeBron super team, where we had Miami, the Heatles and whatnot, everyone was telling me in the very beginning, this is the end of the small market team. The superstars are going to get together, they're going to form super teams, there's going to be like a 4-team NBA by the time 2021 rolls around. And I'm pleased to say, because, I was young at that time and my logic followed that similar path, I'm pleased to say that they're actually kind of wrong in my opinion. We did have a super team in LA, and they didn't even make the playoffs. In fact, you could argue we even had two, but Kawhi didn't play that much. But what we're seeing here is that teams that have built through the draft, made wise and prudent free agent decisions and trades, are now having their moment in the sun in the NBA playoffs. I mean, we saw this last night even. Phoenix is one of those teams. They prudently used their money to get Chris Paul. They drafted Devin Booker. They drafted DeAndre Ayton. And they made it to the finals. Milwaukee's the same way. They prudently used their money to get Jrue Holiday. They prudently used their draft capital to get Giannis and get him some help. So, those are just two last year's finals teams. But the team that really surprises me is the team that actually now has tied the Phoenix Suns in their first round series, the New Orleans Pelicans. For ages, we heard that the Pelicans were like the dregs of the NBA. They were a feeder team for the Los Angeles Lakers. And now look at them. They've tied the defending Western Conference champion. Granted, that probably is because, or at least due in part to, Devin Booker's hamstring injury, which I do pray and hope he recovers from, because the NBA is just better when all of its superstars are healthy. But I look at that team and I see guys like Herb Jones, who's drafted, Jorge Alvarado, the undrafted free agent from Georgia Tech, Brandon Ingram, who is part of the Anthony Davis deal, C.J. McCollum, another great trade that they pulled off that really kind of shifted the way the franchise was headed after a very slow start. Jonas Valanciunas, another trade from the Grizzlies, and we will talk about the guy he was traded for here in a second. But this Pelicans team had to beat the Lakers and all of their superstardom and star power, and even without Anthony Davis, you never know what LeBron James or Russell Westbrook are going to do. They're either going to be really good, or you're going to regret something, not guarding one or the other. They had to beat them to get in. They had to go through the play-in, and now look at them. This small market team, who a lot of people I know don't really care about, they play in the Smoothie King Center for God's sake, and look at them now. Look at them. They're the future of the NBA. Elsewhere, we can't talk about the NBA playoffs without talking about the 2-seeded Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies haven't been good since I was in middle school. And that was back when Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol were running around. And look at them now. They are one of, a great example of making good draft picks between John Moran, of course, Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane. All of these guys are amazing. You complement them with a big veteran like Steven Adams, and you ship out Valanciunas. It's been amazing to watch them as well. And you look at them, people are saying their regular season team. I can kind of get that. Now we look at who they're playing. They're playing the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are running with a lot of guys they've drafted. They've got a former number 1 overall pick in Anthony Edwards, who is apparently Michael Jordan's son. I don't know where that came from. I'm not on NBA Twitter a lot. You throw in Karl Anthony Towns, another number 1 overall pick. You've got a guy like Pat Bev, who, he's Pat Bev. He's a great defensive presence, regardless of his antics. I'm a Pacers fan, so I know what it's like to have a guy like that. Hi, Lance Stevenson. And I'm really loving the fact that these small market teams who everyone told me were going to get washed away in the age of LeBron and D-Wade and Chris Bosh teaming up, that they're coming together and they look even better than anyone expected. And, even the other teams that are higher ranked, Golden State is a dynasty. Yes, Golden State is a very good team. Jordan Poole is a very good player. He's replacing Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson's a very good player. They still have Steph Curry, yada, yada, yada. They still have some young talent, too. The Nuggets, they've been pretty good throughout my entire lifetime, but they've never really had an MVP guy like Nikola Jokic. So I just love how, especially in the Western Conference, the Eastern Conference, we've got the seeds for teams like Charlotte to be on the come up. It's just not their time yet. They're still a bit too young. They're still figuring things out. But there are a lot of good young players in the East too, but not in the way that I'm seeing like the West come together with these complete rosters made up of guys who got there through prudent drafting, excellent free agent decisions, and wise trading. And I think that's something we shouldn't discount, even though if none of those teams win the NBA Finals, if none of these teams win the Western Conference, we still need to think about those teams because they are a good example of how the NBA will keep going very strong for the next couple of years because once LeBron retires, once Chris Paul retires, we're looking at guys like John Morant, we're looking at guys like Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards. And, I didn't even mention him, but what about Zion Williamson? He could be on this Pelicans team next year, and they could be even better. So let's pour one out. I don't know if that's the right term. But let's just take a minute, acknowledge, and be a golf clap at least for those NBA small market teams in the playoffs making some noise, trying to prove that they belong. They deserve it all. And now for my Eastern Conference take. I had the advantage of recording this on Monday. I had to go to the eye doctor on Saturday. I'm still pretty crazy up here because of that. But I would like to talk about the Eastern Conference playoffs, particularly one player. You know where this is going. We're going to cut to the chase right now. It is Ben Simmons.